Okay, so right now I'm looking at two different fruits that we're gonna be looking at tonight. One is called a golden berry, or it's also commonly known as the Cape gooseberry. And I did some research. These ones are actually grown, it looks like, in Miami, but they are a native of Chile and Peru. So something kind of interesting about these guys, they just look like pretty little yellow or golden berries. But something interesting that I read about them is that they actually are related more to a tomatillo rather than a berry, because they actually grow in the same sort of husk as a tomatillo does. And that's called a calyx. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I actually found a picture of how they grow like a tomatillo does. So I thought that was kind of cool. Again, I got these at Whole Foods. I haven't tried any of them. I did wash them, so let me try one now. That's interesting. They are a little tart. Here's the inside. Looks like they've got really tiny little seeds. Honestly, I don't. Honestly, they kind of always taste savory. Like I can imagine them in some sort of cooking that would need sort of a tart or a bitter flavor to it. It's not unsweet, but it's kind of like tomatoey almost. It's not at all what I expected. Weird. I don't know how I feel about them, but they're interesting, which is the most important thing to weird fruits. Very interesting. I don't know what I'm going to do with all of those, but if anyone wants to try one and is in Pittsburgh, they were expensive, so I suggest you try some of my gooseberries. The other fruit that I'm very excited to try is actually called the Uglifruit, and it's, as you can tell, not super attractive, hence the name. It's actually a Jamaican Tangelo or Tangelo, which is actually a hybrid of a grapefruit, orange, and tangerine that's hybridized. So this one is the unique brand, and it is actually grown in Jamaica. So I've been reading about these as well, and apparently you can't tell at all from the rind whether or not it's ready to be eaten. The color is not a good indication. I bought this one because it was more orange than a lot of them in the store, but then I read about it, and apparently, you know, you see ugly fruits with big splotches of green on them, and that's actually completely fine. They said that the weight is actually a better indicator of ripeness, so it has sort of like a heavy weight to it, which this one does actually. It's a little like bottom heavy. And the coloration, like with the dark spots, all of that's fine, because honestly it kind of just looks like an orange that's going bad. So this is the unique brand, but at Whole Foods they had one that was called the Ugly Homely Fruit, which I really liked, but I didn't buy that one because I think it was more expensive. So they said you could usually break through it with your fingers, but honestly I've never been very good at peeling citrus fruit anyways, so I'm going to try to go ahead and get this open. They said that it's definitely sweeter than a grapefruit, but they suggested eating it like a grapefruit, like cutting it in half and just eating it with a spoon, but I would rather just eat the segments, so I'm going to try to do that. I'm starting to get through here. They said the rind is sort of pillowy, which it is. It's like there's like a lot of space under there. It does smell nice. It almost kind of smells like a lemon, to be honest. And I see that the color, maybe it's just because I was eating the pomelo yesterday, but the color is a lot lighter than I was expecting. It almost kind of looks yellow. But the peel actually comes off pretty easily, which is surprising considering how thick it looked. But that was actually really easy to peel. And again, dimple here. So I'm going to break that apart. It looks like it's super juicy, so I'm going to take a bite right now. Pretty good. This one isn't super sweet, but it's super juicy. It's definitely more of a yellow color. Let me bite a piece off. Much more of a yellow color than I was expecting. But it's actually really, really juicy and delicious. Have to say, I like the Uglifruit a lot more than the Gooseberries. Those are really interesting. But if I'm gonna eat fruit, it's gonna be sweet. So, prefer these to those, but those are really interesting as well. So, look for Uglifruits. They deserve your love, even though their appearance is less than beautiful. And enjoy.